Story 1. I'd been working at the Westfield Contemporary Art Museum for about a year when it happened. The job was perfect for me while I finished my art history thesis. I mostly worked the front desk on weekends, checking memberships, selling tickets, answering basic questions about the exhibits. The pay wasn't great, but I got to spend my shifts surrounded by art, which beat serving coffee or stocking shelves. The museum was small but well respected. 3 floors of rotating contemporary exhibits, a permanent collection on the ground floor, and a sculpture garden out back. We attracted serious art enthusiasts and casual visitors who just wanted something different to do on a Saturday. Our current main exhibit was called Urban Perspectives and featured large abstract paintings by a local artist. Bold colors, geometric shapes, lots of negative space. The kind of art that people either loved or didn't understand. I happened to love it, but I'd learned not everyone shared that opinion. It was a Sunday afternoon in late spring. The museum was moderately busy, maybe 30 people spread across the 3 floors. I was at the front desk processing a new membership when I heard someone talking very loudly upstairs. A few minutes later, a woman came down the stairs walking very quickly. She headed straight for my desk. "Karen, I need to speak to whoever is in charge immediately." "Me. I can help you with most issues." "What's the problem?" "Karen, the problem is one of your paintings attacked me." I blinked at her. "Me. I'm sorry, what?" "Karen, upstairs. 2nd floor. One of those modern monstrosities." It stared at me aggressively. "Me. The paintings don't have eyes. They're abstract." "Karen, I know what I experienced. That painting directed hostile energy directly at me." "Me. Can you show me which painting you're talking about?" "Karen, absolutely not. I'm not going back near it." "Me, okay. Can you describe it?" "Karen, it's mostly red, with some black angular shapes. Very aggressive composition." I knew exactly which painting she meant. It was called Intersection Number 7, and it was one of the largest pieces in the exhibit. Mostly crimson with sharp black geometric forms cutting through it. Definitely bold, but not aggressive unless you projected that onto it. "Me, that piece is part of our main exhibit. It's an abstract exploration of urban architecture." "Karen, I don't care what it's supposed to be." It stared at me with hostility, and I felt threatened. "Me, ma'am, it's paint on canvas. It can't stare at anything." "Karen, are you telling me I didn't experience what I clearly experienced?" "Me, I'm saying the painting is an inanimate object." "Karen, then explain why I felt its energy directed specifically at me." "Me, sometimes people have emotional responses to art. That's actually the point of a lot of contemporary work." "Karen, this wasn't an emotional response. This was an attack. That painting singled me out." "Me, I can assure you the painting isn't capable of singling anyone out." "Karen, I want it rotated. Turn it to face the wall so it can't stare at other visitors." "Me, we don't rotate paintings to face the wall. That would defeat the purpose of displaying them." "Karen, then rotate it away from the main viewing area. Point it toward that corner where no one walks." "Me, the paintings are positioned very deliberately by our curator. We can't just change the layout because one person felt uncomfortable." "Karen, so you're prioritizing the painting over visitor safety." "Me, there's no safety issue. It's a painting." "Karen, I felt unsafe. That's a safety issue." "Me, if you felt uncomfortable viewing that particular piece, you could have moved to a different part of the exhibit." "Karen, I shouldn't have to move. The hostile art should be removed or repositioned." "Me, I can get the curator if you'd like to discuss your concerns with her." "Karen, yes, get her down here immediately." I called upstairs to the curator's office. Margaret had been with the museum for 15 years and had dealt with every type of complaint imaginable. She came down a few minutes later. "Margaret, hello, I'm Margaret, the curator. I understand you had concerns about one of our pieces." "Karen, one of your paintings stared at me aggressively. I'm demanding it be rotated away from the public viewing area. Margaret, which painting are we talking about? Karen, the red one with the angry black shapes. Second floor. Margaret, intersection number 7. That's one of my favorites in the exhibit. Karen, well, it's violent and threatening, and it targeted me specifically. Margaret, the piece is meant to evoke the intensity and energy of urban environments. Some viewers find it powerful. Karen, I found it aggressive. It looked directly at me with hostility. Margaret, the painting doesn't have a focal point that creates eye contact. It's non-representational. Karen, I know what I felt. Margaret, art can definitely provoke strong feelings. That's part of what makes it meaningful. Karen, this went beyond feelings. This was a directed attack. Margaret, I'm not able to rotate the paintings. They're positioned to optimize viewing angles and lighting. The placement is intentional. Karen, so you're refusing my reasonable accommodation request. Margaret, I'm explaining that we can't rearrange our exhibit based on one person's subjective experience. Karen, fine. I'll view the rest of the exhibit, but I'm filing a formal complaint. Margaret, that's your right. There are comment cards at the front desk. Karen stormed back upstairs to continue viewing the exhibit. Margaret gave me a look that said, "Here we go again," and headed back to her office. 20 minutes later, Karen came back down. She looked even more agitated than before. Karen, I need to add to my complaint. Me, okay. Did you want a comment card? Karen, no, I need to speak to the curator again. Now. I called Margaret back down. Margaret, what can I help you with? Karen, I followed your advice and moved to different parts of the exhibit to avoid that hostile painting. Margaret, good. I hope you enjoyed the other pieces. Karen, I didn't. Because the shadow followed me. Margaret, the shadow? Karen, from that painting. Its shadow followed me around the entire second floor. No matter where I went, I could see it on the wall, tracking my movements. Me, shadows don't move on their own. They're created by the position of lights and objects. Karen, this shadow moved. It followed me deliberately. Margaret, the lighting on the second floor is fixed. The shadows cast by the paintings don't change position. Karen, then explain why every time I moved, that shadow was there, watching me. Margaret, you were probably seeing different shadows from different paintings as you moved through the space. That's normal. Karen, no. It was the same shadow, from that red painting, stalking me. Margaret, ma'am, I can assure you that shadows from paintings don't follow people. Karen, I'm documenting this. I'm taking photos of every shadow on that floor as evidence of harassment. She pulled out her phone and headed back upstairs before we could respond. Margaret rubbed her temples. Margaret, in 15 years, I've never had someone claim a painting's shadow stalked them. Me, do you think she'll actually file a complaint? Margaret, oh definitely. They always do. Karen spent the next 30 minutes photographing shadows on the second floor. Other visitors gave her strange looks as she crouched in corners taking pictures of walls. She finally came back downstairs with her phone full of shadow photos. Karen, I have evidence. Dozens of photos showing how that shadow followed me throughout my visit. Margaret, those appear to be photos of normal shadows cast by various paintings and sculptures. Karen, they're all connected. That red painting is creating a network of aggressive shadows to monitor visitors. Me, that's not how shadows work. Karen, you're both gaslighting me. I know what I experienced. Margaret, no one is gaslighting you. We're explaining basic physics. Karen, I want that painting removed from the exhibit immediately, or I'm contacting the media about your hostile environment. Margaret, the painting stays. It's part of a contracted exhibit that runs through the end of the month. Karen, then I'm leaving and I'm demanding a full refund. I paid $15 to be stalked by aggressive art. Margaret, you've been here for over an hour viewing the exhibit. We don't offer refunds because you didn't like one painting. Karen, I didn't dislike it. It attacked me, and then its shadow followed me. This is beyond dislike. This is trauma. Margaret, I'm sorry you had a negative experience, but we can't refund your admission. Karen, this is theft. You took my money and subjected me to psychological warfare through hostile paintings and stalker shadows. Me, you voluntarily purchased admission and spent over an hour here. Karen, under duress, that painting held me hostage with its staring. Margaret, ma'am, I think it's time for you to leave. Karen, gladly, but everyone will know about this. I'm posting about your aggressive art on every social media platform. I'm warning people about the Shadow Network. Margaret, you're welcome to share your experience however you'd like. Karen, I'm also filing complaints with the City Arts Council, the Tourism Board, and every art publication I can find. This museum creates unsafe viewing conditions. Margaret, have a good day. Karen stormed out, still clutching her phone full of shadow photos. Margaret looked exhausted. Margaret, I need coffee. Me, that was wild. Margaret, the painting stared at her, and then the shadow stalked her. That's a new one. Me, do you think she'll actually follow through with all those complaints? Margaret, probably. But they'll see she's complaining about a painting staring at her and shadows following her around. Not exactly credible. Me, should we be worried about bad reviews? Margaret, let me worry about that. You just keep checking people in. She went back upstairs to her office. The rest of the day was uneventful. Normal visitors who appreciated the art without feeling attacked by it. The next morning, I checked our online reviews out of curiosity. Sure enough, there was a new 1-star review posted late the previous night. Dangerous museum. Paintings stare at you with hostile intent. Shadows follow you around tracking your movements. Staff refuses to protect visitors from aggressive art. The red painting on the second floor is particularly violent and should be removed immediately for public safety. I have photographic evidence of the Shadow Network. Do not visit unless you want to be psychologically attacked by modern art. Margaret saw it too. She sent it to the museum director with the subject line, "New level of art criticism unlocked." The painting stayed exactly where it was for the rest of the exhibit, staring at nothing, casting normal, stationary shadows, just like it had been doing all along. Story 2. I've been commuting to work on my electric bike for about 8 months now. Best decision I ever made. I used to drive 45 minutes each way through traffic that made me want to scream into the void. Now I take the bike path along the river, get some fresh air, arrive at work actually awake instead of road rage exhausted. The bike has a small electric motor that assists when I pedal. I still have to pedal. It just makes hills easier and lets me arrive not drenched in sweat. Most people don't care. Some ask questions about the bike. How far does it go? How fast? Does it save money? Normal stuff. I've never had anyone have a problem with it until last Tuesday. I had stopped at a red light where the bike path crosses Jefferson Street. There's a little concrete island with a signal button. I was waiting for the walk signal, 1 foot on the ground, checking my phone. A regular bike pulled up next to me. A woman on a bright yellow 10-speed. Full cycling gear. Those tight shorts, the clippy shoes, the aerodynamic helmet. She looked over at my bike, then at me, then back at my bike. Karen, is that an electric bike? Me, yeah, it is. Karen, so you don't actually pedal? Me, I do pedal. The motor just assists. Makes hills easier. She made a face like I'd told her I kick puppies for fun. Karen, that's not real cycling. Me, okay. The light changed. I started pedaling and crossed the street. So did she. But instead of going her own way, she stayed right next to me, matching my speed, staring at me. Karen, you know you're cheating, right? Me, cheating at what? Karen, at transportation, at exercise, at the entire concept of cycling. Me, I'm just trying to get to work. Karen, on a fake bike. With a motor, you're not even using your own power. Me, I am using my own power. The motor just helps. Karen, that's cheating. Real cyclists use their legs, their muscles, their will. I tried to speed up a little to get away from her. The motor assisted and I pulled ahead. She pedaled harder to keep up, which seemed to make her even angrier. Karen, see? You just cheated right there. You sped up without even trying. That's technological arrogance. Me, look, I don't know what your problem is, but I'm just trying to commute to work. Can you please leave me alone? Karen, I will not leave you alone. You're disrespecting the sacred tradition of human-powered cycling. Every pedal stroke is supposed to be earned. We were coming up on a hill, a pretty steep one. This was exactly the kind of situation where the electric assist was perfect. I shifted gears and started up the incline. The motor kicked in smoothly, and I maintained my speed without much effort. Behind me, I heard heavy breathing and the grinding of gears. The woman was struggling up the hill the traditional way, which was fine. That was her choice. But she was getting more and more furious that I wasn't struggling with her. When we both reached the top, she was red-faced and panting. I was fine. She looked at me like I'd personally insulted her entire family. Karen, you didn't even work for that hill. You just motored up it like some kind of lazy cheater. Me, yeah, that's literally the point of the bike. Karen, the point should be effort, struggle. The hill is supposed to make you earn the descent. Me, I'm not training for the Tour de France. I'm going to work. I don't need to earn anything. Karen, this is everything wrong with society. Nobody wants to work for anything anymore. Everyone just wants the easy way. Me, it's a bike, not a moral statement. I tried to pull away again, but we'd reached a long, flat stretch. She caught up easily and was now riding uncomfortably close to me. Close enough that if either of us swerved even a little, we'd collide. Me, can you give me some space, please? Karen, not until you admit you're cheating at transportation. Me, I'm not admitting that because it's not true. Can you just go ride your own bike and let me ride mine? Karen, I can't just ignore someone violating the fundamental principles of pedal-powered movement. She reached out toward my bike. I thought maybe she was going to grab my handlebar or something. Instead, she lunged for the battery pack mounted on the frame. Her fingers fumbled with the latch that secured it. Me, hey, don't touch my bike. Karen, I'm saving you from technological dependence. I swerved away from her, but she pedaled closer, still grabbing at the battery. We were both wobbling now. This was getting dangerous. Me, stop. You're going to cause an accident. Karen, an accident caused by fake cycling. I hit my brakes. Hard. She shot past me and had to brake too. We both came to a stop on the side of the path. I got off my bike and pulled out my phone. Karen, what are you doing? Me, calling the police. You just tried to damage my property. Karen, I was trying to free you from your motorized crutch. Me, you were trying to disconnect my battery while we were both moving. That's dangerous, and that's vandalism. Karen, it's not vandalism to promote pedal purity. I had already dialed. The operator answered, and I explained the situation. A woman had tried to forcibly remove the battery from my electric bike while we were riding. She was still here. Yes, I was safe now. Yes, I could wait. Karen was pacing back and forth next to her yellow bike, muttering about technological arrogance and the death of authentic cycling. Other people on the path were giving us a wide berth and confused looks. Karen, you're really calling the police? Over a bike disagreement? Me, you tried to sabotage my bike while I was riding it. That's assault. Or battery. Or something. I don't know the exact legal term, but I know it's not okay. Karen, I was trying to help you understand the value of real effort. Me, by trying to make me crash. Karen, you wouldn't have crashed. You would have just had to use your actual legs for once. A police car showed up about 10 minutes later. Officer Park got out and walked over to us. I explained what happened. The woman tried to grab my battery pack while we were both riding. She admitted it immediately. Karen, Of course I tried to disconnect it. He's cheating. He's using a motor. Officer Park, ma'am, it's legal to ride an electric bike on this path. Karen, legal doesn't mean moral. He's betraying the entire cycling community. Officer Park, did you or did you not try to tamper with his bicycle while you were both in motion? Karen, I was trying to restore pedal purity to the bike path. Officer Park, that's not a thing. What you did is assault and attempted vandalism. Karen, it's not assault to promote traditional values. Officer Park, it is assault when you lunge at someone and try to damage their property, especially when you're both on moving vehicles. Karen, this is discrimination against people who believe in human-powered transportation. Officer Park turned to me. Officer Park, do you want to press charges? I looked at the woman. She was still in her cycling gear, still red-faced, still absolutely convinced she was in the right. Part of me wanted to press charges just on principle, but mostly I just wanted to get to work and never see her again. I just want her to leave me alone. Officer Park, fair enough. He turned back to the woman. Officer Park, ma'am, you're going to go that way, and he's going to go this way. You will not follow him. You will not approach him. You will not touch anyone else's bicycle. If I get another call about you harassing cyclists, you will be charged. Do you understand? Karen, this is censorship of pedal-based ideology. Officer Park, do you understand? Karen, fine. But for the record, electric bikes are ruining the sanctity of human-powered movement. Officer Park, noted. Now go. She got on her bright yellow bike and pedaled away furiously, muttering about technological betrayal and the death of authentic effort. Officer Park watched her go, then turned back to me. Officer Park, you okay to continue to work? Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks for coming out. Officer Park, first time I've heard someone complain about pedal purity. Usually it's just parking disputes and noise complaints. Is that actually a thing? Pedal purity. Officer Park, it is now, apparently. He got back in his car and drove off. I got back on my bike and continued my commute. The rest of the ride was peaceful. No one tried to sabotage my battery. No one accused me of cheating at transportation. I arrived at work on time, not sweaty, in a decent mood considering the morning I'd had. I still take the same route every day. I haven't seen the woman in the yellow bike again. Maybe she found a different path. Maybe she's out there somewhere screaming at other electric bike riders about technological arrogance. Maybe she started a protest group called Citizens for Human-Powered Transportation Only. I don't really care. I'm still riding my electric bike, still enjoying my commute, still arriving at work without wanting to scream into the void. And if that makes me a cheater in someone's eyes, I can live with that. Because at the end of the day, I'm not riding for purity or tradition or some abstract cycling philosophy. I'm just trying to get from point A to point B without sitting in traffic or showing up drenched in sweat. And if a small electric motor helps me do that, then that's nobody's business but mine, no matter how loud they yell about it on a bike path at 7:30 in the morning. Story 3. I've been a lifeguard at Sunset Beach for 3 summers now. It's good work if you can handle the sun and the occasional drunk tourist. Most days are pretty calm. I sit in my chair, watch the water, make sure nobody drowns. Sometimes I have to blow my whistle to warn someone who's drifted too far out or to stop kids from roughhousing in the shallow end. Standard stuff. The whistle is loud because it needs to be heard over waves and wind and crowds. That's the whole point. Last Saturday was a perfect beach day. Sunny, light breeze, water temperature just right. The beach was packed with families. Kids building sandcastles, teenagers playing volleyball, couples reading under umbrellas. I was scanning the water like I always do when I noticed a kid on a boogie board drifting toward the rocks on the north end. Maybe 9 or 10 years old. He wasn't in immediate danger, but he was headed somewhere he shouldn't be. I put the whistle to my lips and blew. One short blast. Standard warning signal. The kid heard it, looked up, saw me pointing him back toward the designated swim area. He waved and started paddling back. Crisis averted. Total time elapsed, maybe 5 seconds. Then I heard screaming. A woman was marching across the sand toward my lifeguard chair. She was wearing a massive sun hat and oversized sunglasses that covered half her face. Behind her, a man who I assumed was her husband was trying to say something, but she wasn't listening. She reached the base of my chair and glared up at me. "Karen, excuse me." "Me? Yes, ma'am." "Karen, did you just blow that whistle?" "Me. Yes, I did. There was a child drifting toward the rocks." "Karen, I don't care about the child. You can't just blow that thing without warning people first." "Me, ma'am, the whistle is the warning. That's what it's for." "Karen, that sound was violent. It pierced my soul." I looked down at her, trying to figure out if she was joking. She was not joking. Her hands were shaking. Her face was red. She looked genuinely upset about a single whistle blast. "Me, I'm sorry the whistle startled you, but it's part of my job. I need to be able to signal swimmers when there's a safety issue." "Karen, you could have used a gentle sound, something soothing, not that aggressive shriek." "Me, the whistle needs to be loud so people can hear it over the ocean." "Karen, I was having a peaceful moment. I was centering myself, and then your whistle stabbed through my consciousness like a knife." Her husband had caught up to her now. He put a hand on her shoulder. "Husband, honey, maybe we should just go back to our spot." "Karen, no, this is important. People need to understand that sound is violence." "Me, sound is not violence. Sound is just sound, and safety whistles are required equipment for lifeguards." "Karen, required by who?" "By people who don't understand sensitive hearing, by people who don't value auditory peace." "Me, required by the Beach Safety Commission and my employer." "Karen, well, your employer is creating a hostile environment for people with delicate nervous systems." A small crowd was starting to form. Other beachgoers had noticed the commotion and were watching from a distance. Some were holding up their phones. A couple of teenagers were laughing. "Me, ma'am, I understand you're upset, but I'm going to continue doing my job. If someone is in danger, I will blow my whistle. That's not negotiable." "Karen, then you're choosing violence. You're choosing to assault people's ears." "Husband, sweetie, please. You're making a scene." "Karen, I'm making a scene. He's the one with the weapon." "Me, it's a whistle." "Karen, a whistle is a sonic weapon when used without consent." "Me, I don't need consent to do my job." She made a sound that was somewhere between a shriek and a growl. Then she bent down, scooped up a handful of sand, and threw it. Not at me, just threw it in frustration. Into the air, in front of her. Unfortunately for her, there was a light breeze coming from the ocean. The sand she threw went up, caught the wind, and blew directly back into her husband's face. He sputtered and stumbled backward, trying to wipe sand out of his eyes and mouth. She spun around and saw what had happened. "Karen, oh my God, are you okay?" "Husband, you just threw sand in my face." "Karen, that wasn't my fault. It was the wind." "Husband, you're the one who threw it." "Karen, I was expressing my feelings. The wind betrayed me." "Me, sir, there's a rinse shower by the parking lot if you need to wash the sand off." The husband was still spitting sand out of his mouth. He looked up at his wife with an expression of complete exhaustion. "Husband, I'm going to the car." "Karen, wait, I'm not done here." "Husband, I'm done here. I'm done with the whistle war. I'm done with sonic weapons. I'm going to sit in the air conditioning and pretend this didn't happen." He walked away toward the parking lot, still trying to get sand out of his hair. The woman watched him go, then turned back to me. "Karen, this is your fault. Your whistle created negative energy that manifested as sand violence. Me, you're the one who threw the sand." "Karen, because I was triggered by your whistle. Cause and effect." "Me, ma'am, if you can't handle the sound of a safety whistle, maybe the beach isn't the right place for you." "Karen, are you excluding me from public spaces?" "Me, I'm suggesting that if whistles upset you this much, you might be more comfortable somewhere quieter." "Karen, So now you're discriminating against people with auditory sensitivity. Another lifeguard had noticed the situation and was walking over. Marcus had been doing this job for 5 years and had seen everything. He climbed up next to me. Marcus, everything okay here? Me, this woman is upset about the whistle. Marcus, the safety whistle? Karen, it's not safe when it's attacking people's consciousness. Marcus, ma'am, that's a standard Fox 40 whistle. It's used by lifeguards, referees, and safety personnel worldwide. The decibel level is well within acceptable ranges. Karen, I don't care about your technical specifications. I care about my spiritual well-being. Marcus, your spiritual well-being is not our responsibility. Water safety is our responsibility, and we will continue to use our whistles when necessary. Karen, then I want to speak to your supervisor. Marcus, she's in the main office. Feel free to walk up there and file a complaint. Karen, I will, and I'm going to tell her about your whistle assault and your refusal to accommodate sensitive people. Marcus, you do that. She stomped off toward the beach office, leaving a trail of angry footprints in the sand. Marcus and I watched her go. Marcus, whistle pierced her soul. Me, that's what she said. Marcus, new one for me. I've had people complain about the whistle being too loud, too frequent, too unexpected. Never had anyone say it was spiritually violent. Me, she threw sand in frustration, and it blew into her husband's face. Marcus, of course it did. We sat there for a few minutes, watching the water. A couple of kids were playing chicken in the waves. A group of adults were setting up a beach volleyball net. Everything was normal, peaceful, safe. Then Marcus blew his whistle, sharp and loud. The kids playing chicken stopped immediately and swam back toward shore. Standard safety call. I looked toward the beach office. Through the window, I could see the woman gesturing wildly at our supervisor. Our supervisor was nodding politely with that expression that every service worker knows. I'm listening, but I'm not actually going to do anything about this expression. Marcus, think she'll come back? Me, I think her husband is already sitting in the car with the air conditioning on full blast, waiting for her to give up. Marcus, smart man. The woman came storming out of the beach office about 10 minutes later. She marched past our chair without looking up, grabbed her beach bag from her spot on the sand, and headed toward the parking lot. She was on her phone, talking loudly about discrimination and hostile environments and auditory assault. A little kid who'd been building a sandcastle nearby looked up at me. Kid, why was that lady so mad? Me, she didn't like the whistle. Kid, but the whistle helps keep people safe. Me, exactly. Kid, that lady's weird. Me, yeah, kid. She really is. I stayed in that chair until my shift ended at 4. I blew my whistle 6 more times that day. Once for a swimmer who'd gone too far out. Twice for kids roughhousing. Once for someone on a surfboard in the wrong area. Twice for people who drifted toward the rocks. Every time I blew it, I half expected to see an angry woman in a sun hat storming toward me screaming about soul violence. But she never came back. Her car was gone from the parking lot. She'd left, probably to find some quieter beach where lifeguards communicate through interpretive dance or gentle humming, or whatever she thought was appropriate. I still work at Sunset Beach, still blow my whistle when I need to, still keep people safe. And if that sound pierces someone's soul or creates negative energy or violates their auditory comfort zone, that's just too bad. Because at the end of the day, my job isn't to protect people's feelings about safety equipment. My job is to protect people from drowning, and I'm going to keep doing that job, one loud whistle blast at a time, regardless of how many people think sound is violence, or that warnings should come with trigger warnings. The ocean doesn't care about your sensitive soul, and neither does my whistle. Story 4. I'd been working at Wellness Plus drugstore for about 9 months when the incident happened. It was my first real job after high school while I figured out if I wanted to go to college or learn a trade. The work was straightforward enough. Stock shelves, run the register, help customers find things, clean up spills. Nothing exciting, but it paid rent on my apartment and left me with enough to save a little each month. The store was one of those big chain places that sold everything: medications, cosmetics, snacks, greeting cards, seasonal decorations. We had entire aisles dedicated to specific things. Aisle 7 was all skincare and body care products: lotions, body washes, face creams, hand soaps, hundreds of different brands and scents. Most of that stuff came in sealed containers, but we had a sample station set up at the end of the aisle where customers could try testers before buying. Little pumps of various lotions and creams. It was supposed to encourage sales, let people test the scent and texture before committing to a full bottle. It was a Thursday evening, pretty slow. Maybe a dozen customers scattered throughout the store. I was restocking vitamins in aisle 9 when my coworker Devin came around the corner looking stressed. Devin: "Hey, there's a woman in the lotion aisle who's being weird. Can you check it out?" Me: "Weird how?" Devin: "She's been there for like 20 minutes just pumping samples onto her hands. I think she's used every tester we have." Me: "Is she buying anything?" Devin: "No idea. She just keeps testing stuff and talking to herself." I headed over to aisle 7. I could hear her before I saw her. Karen: "No, too floral. Disgusting. Next." I rounded the corner and saw her at the sample station. Both her hands were completely covered in lotion, glistening under the fluorescent lights. There were several empty tester bottles on the counter, completely pumped dry. Me: "Hi there, can I help you find something?" She looked up at me, her hands dripping with mixed lotions. Karen: "These are all wrong." Me: "What are you looking for specifically?" Karen: "I'm looking for the perfect lotion. But everything here is either too thick, too thin, too scented, or not scented enough." Me: "Well, everyone has different preferences. Maybe I can help you narrow it down based on what you like." Karen: "I've tried everything. They're all terrible." I looked at the sample station. She wasn't exaggerating. Every single tester had been used. Some were completely empty. Me: "Have you tried washing your hands between samples? That might help you smell each scent more clearly." Karen: "I don't need to wash my hands. I can tell they're all wrong." Me: "Okay, well, if none of these work for you, maybe we're not the right store." Karen: "That's not acceptable. I came here for lotion, and you should have something that works." Me: "We have probably 60 different lotions in this aisle. If the samples don't appeal to you, the full-size bottles won't either." Karen: "I've wasted all this product testing your samples. What am I supposed to do with my hands now?" Me: "There's a bathroom at the front of the store where you can wash up." Karen: "Wash it off. That's wasteful. This lotion needs to go somewhere." Me: "It's already on your hands. Just rub it in or wash it off." Karen: "No, there's too much. Look at this." She held up her hands. They were absolutely coated, layers upon layers of different lotions mixed together, creating this weird slippery mess. Karen: "I can't just waste all this moisture. It needs to be returned to the universe." Me: "Returned to the what?" Karen: "The universe. Moisture is precious. If I wash this off, it goes down the drain and is lost forever. That's environmentally irresponsible." Me: "It's just lotion. You can wash it off." Karen: "No, I'll redistribute it." Before I could ask what that meant, she walked over to the nearest shelf and started rubbing her lotion-covered hands all over the product boxes. Me: "Ma'am, stop. You can't do that." Karen: "I'm returning moisture to the universe. These boxes are dry. They need hydration." She moved down the aisle, rubbing her hands on every box she passed. Lotion smeared across packages of body wash, bottles of shampoo, boxes of soap. Everything she touched became slick and greasy. Me: "You need to stop right now. You're damaging merchandise." Karen: "I'm improving it. Everything is too dry in here. The air, the product, the energy. I'm balancing it." Me: "You're vandalizing products. Stop immediately or I'm calling security." Karen: "Security? For moisturizing, that's ridiculous. She kept going, now using both hands to smear lotion across an entire shelf of face creams. The boxes were completely covered in greasy handprints. I pulled out my phone and called the store manager. "Me, Ryan, I need you in aisle 7 immediately. Customer situation." Karen grabbed another tester from the sample station. This one was lavender glitter lotion, one of those sparkly body products. She pumped it directly into her palm until the bottle was empty. Karen: "Oh, this one has shimmer. Perfect for energy distribution." She started rubbing the glitter lotion all over the shelves, leaving sparkly purple streaks across everything. The entire aisle was starting to look like a disco ball had exploded. Ryan arrived and stopped dead in his tracks. "Ryan, what in the world?" "Me, she's been rubbing lotion all over the products. She says she's returning moisture to the universe." Karen: "Your employee doesn't understand environmental responsibility." Ryan: "Ma'am, you've damaged dozens of products. You need to leave immediately." Karen: "I haven't damaged anything. I've enhanced them. Look how moisturized everything is now." She held up her hands. They were still covered in lotion, now with purple glitter mixed in. It was all over her arms too, and somehow on her face. "Ryan, I'm calling the police. You've vandalized store property." Karen: "This isn't vandalism. This is a public service. Your store was suffering from moisture deficiency." Ryan: "Get out of my store right now." Karen: "Fine. But you should be thanking me. I've probably increased the humidity in this entire aisle by at least 10%. She started walking toward the exit, leaving glittery purple handprints on everything she touched. The shopping cart handles, the end-cap displays, even the automatic door as she pushed it open. Ryan pulled out his phone and took pictures of the aisle. It looked like a tornado had hit it. Greasy smears and purple glitter everywhere. At least 30 products were unsellable, their packaging completely ruined. Ryan: "Did she buy anything?" Me: "No. She just used all the samples and then did this." Ryan: "Of course she didn't." We could see her through the front windows. She was standing in the parking lot, still rubbing the remaining lotion into her hands and arms. The late afternoon sun caught the glitter, making her sparkle like she'd been dipped in craft supplies. Ryan called the non-emergency police line to file a report. While he was on the phone, I started pulling damaged products off the shelves. Pretty much everything she'd touched had to go. The boxes were too greasy to sell, even if we wiped them down. Devin came over to help. Devin: "Is that glitter all over everything?" Me: "Lavender glitter lotion." She emptied the whole tester. Devin: "Why?" Me: "She was returning moisture to the universe." Devin: "Obviously. How silly of me to ask." The police arrived about 15 minutes later. The officer went out to talk to her in the parking lot. She was apparently explaining her moisture redistribution philosophy while still covered in purple sparkle lotion. The officer came inside to get our statement. Officer: "So she rubbed lotion samples all over your products?" Ryan: "Yes," and refused to stop when asked. Officer: "She's claiming it was an act of environmental activism. Something about moisture balance and universal energy." Ryan: "It was vandalism. We have at least $300 in damaged merchandise." Officer: "She's also covered head to toe in glitter lotion. Like completely covered. It's in her hair, on her clothes, all over her face." Me: "She kept pumping the tester and rubbing it everywhere." Officer: "Did she try to leave the store with any unpaid merchandise?" Ryan: "No. She just destroyed products and then tried to leave." Officer: "All right, I'll issue her a citation for vandalism and criminal mischief. She's banned from the property." The officer went back outside. Through the window, we could see him writing the citation while she gestured wildly, leaving sparkly purple fingerprints on the paper. She was still trying to explain her moisture philosophy. Finally, she got in her car and drove away, leaving glittery handprints on her door handle and steering wheel. Ryan looked at the destroyed aisle. "Ryan, We're going to be cleaning up glitter for weeks. Me, at least it smells nice. Lavender. Devin, that's the spirit. Look on the bright side. We spent the next 2 hours pulling damaged products, wiping down shelves, and trying to remove glitter from every surface. The glitter was impossible to fully clean. It was embedded in the shelf edges, scattered on the floor, somehow on the ceiling tiles. A week later, we were still finding purple sparkles in random places throughout the store. The sample station got moved behind the customer service counter after that. If people wanted to try something, they had to ask an employee who would dispense a small amount. We never saw her again. But sometimes, when the light hit the shelves just right, we'd see a shimmer of purple glitter, and remember the day someone tried to moisturize the universe one product box at a time.